paid your 99 cents, you own that. You could move it around and, do whatever you want with it. But streaming is more like renting, renting music on the go, and so that's what they're saying here, is that digital, even though for years we were saying, CD sales are going away and now it's all digital downloads. Well, now digital downloads are going away and it's going more and more to paid streaming or streaming with ads. And so, there's a lot of new players here. This is all the wild, wild west. And so we're still trying to figure things out. Pandora has been around for a long time. A lot of buzz about Spotify, but there's I think, Bobby Ozinski, who I know is a blogger and an author in our space. He also wrote a piece for Forbes Online where he talked about that Apple may be coming out with their own paid streaming service. But also at the same time, there's the Google has got their Google Play All Access, and then on top of that, there is YouTube, which is owned by Google. It gets very confusing, but YouTube, knowing that people like your son and millions of people are using it to basically stream music. I think we talked about that in the last episode, where people just listen to stuff on YouTube in addition to watching it. But they're experimenting with something called YouTube Music Key, which will allow you to stream your favorite music ad-free. And so it's just getting more and more complicated.
Crazy. But yet, talk about being like a Back to the Future-oriented show here today. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest sources of music revenue coming up in 2015 is going to be the vinyl record. Go try to digest that in the middle of all this, because do you know that vinyl sales have soared another 50% in 2014 and they're projected to even go higher in 2015? It's just that basically what they're saying is that vinyl and streaming are the rare bright spot for the music industry, and that's according to entertainment.com and a few other sources here that I'm checking out. It's amazing,
It's cool. Now, I have not researched the vinyl resurgence thing, but I know. So I'm curious about the demographic of that, because on one hand, I bet you there are some older people like us who have fondly remember the vinyl records and still have them in their Peaches crates in the basement like I do. But I think there's also a younger demographic that has come to appreciate them. It's not just older folks. I don't know if you have any insight on that.
Let me speak to that. I have a lot of experience with that.
Please do. Funny, I should bring that up.
No, seriously, check this out. My daughter, we've talked about on the show before. Hi, Taylor. She's 15, and her entire music collection that she owns is on vinyl. She just for Christmas, she got all of the Beatles English picture sleeve 45 box set. That was what she got for Christmas. And with her money that she got for Christmas, she just went out and ordered on vinyl the Mary Poppins soundtrack and the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang soundtrack on vinyl. God. I'm telling you, it's crazy. And then we spend I spend a lot of time at local record stores, and the kids, and I say the kids going there, they're the kids. They're like between, like, I say 16, 18, and 25, that's kids to me, are like, 80% of the people I see in these stores. Also, I don't know if anybody's been spending any time in a Barnes & Noble lately, but when I was, doing my holiday shopping, they had huge vinyl displays, not only in the music store part of the store where they have, like, the videos and the CDs and stuff like that. They had huge displays of vinyl, but they had vinyl displays and were selling record players in the store on the end caps. And
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
this really is a thing.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, there's this company called Crosley or Crosby. I can't remember exactly, but they're selling these really cool portable record players, kind of like the old days. Bob, remember we used to carry them around? They look like little briefcases, and you open them up and you play your records on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're selling those again, and some of them are really cool because what they do is not only they're portable and they have speakers, but they also have an output to plug into your big speakers or your headphones, or they have a USB port, so as you're playing your record, you can put it directly into your devices, your tablets and your computers and your phones and stuff like that. I mean, it's a thing. This isn't just a one-shot fad. It's been building for several years now, and Record Store Day, And record stores are actually sort of becoming the savior of live music, because there's a lot of places where, it's hard for younger musicians, unknown bands, indie bands to get gigs, and they're traveling around the country playing gigs inside record stores. Most of the record stores I visited, even in Wisconsin, remember, I don't live in New York, Nashville, LA. I'm in Wisconsin, okay? And the frozen tundra. And we're not the hippest place in the world here, and yet our record stores have stages and sound systems and everything. You know what I'm saying?
It's awesome. And for an institution here in St. Louis is a store called Vintage Vinyl, and they've been around for decades, and that's what that's what they specialize in. They have some CDs, but it's mostly old vinyl, and then this last night, as a matter of fact, I was talking to this gal who just opened this little retail shop in South St. Louis, and it's even though they do have you clothes and stuff like that, but she said a bigger a portion of what they do is vinyl records. People bring them in, and I guess I don't know if they do for cash or trade or whatever, but that's yeah. So I guess the signs are everywhere. I didn't even kind of realize it myself. Along with that, I know another thing that in Bobby Ozinski's piece, he talked about high res audio, even in the digital form.
Right.
That
right.
Higher res, because I think we've talked about the state of low quality audio here and there over in the episodes of the podcast, and he was pointing that out as a trend that even with digital downloads, they're trying to get the fidelity up, or there's a certain population that's interested in higher sound quality. And so I think that probably ties into the vinyl thing.
Well, right. Well,
a little bit.
Neil Young had a big Kickstarter for a system called the Pono. Pono. There's no R in that one. It's Pono. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's basically a 24-bit high resolution digital system that gives you the same experience as supposedly as close to the same experience as an audio recording. So there is, people are interested in that, and that's I'd say if there's going to be a trend that I hope is going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years, I think is that digital sound going from basically being this compressed, over compressed, and basically, very lo-fi format, they will find a way to take the digital format and make it as warm and real and as hi-fi as, tape and records are. You know what I mean? They haven't gotten there yet, at least not in a way that works for the masses, And one of the problems, though, is the masses are, another prediction from me, is I almost get the feeling the masses is almost sick and tired of all these new formats. And even if a really great one comes out, I don't know how eager they are going to be to embrace them. You know what I mean? That's an interesting question right there, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, because I know there was it seems like be a lot of resistance to the subscription streaming thing for a long time. There was a debate, I remember a few years ago, about, are people really going to be able to accept the a la carte or the all you can eat, price or whatever compared to the digital downloads. But again, and you can make all the predictions that you want and take polls, and people say what they prefer, but they always vote with their wallets and with their behavior. And so based on the numbers, it seems like their behavior and their spending is leaning more and more toward streaming, but who knows what that will be a year or two from now. A couple other things kind of along with this, about all the enhanced audio, like one of the predictions I talked about was so they referenced the smart home. So we've used this word smart has been attached to a lot of things. A smartphone has been around. This phone that can do more and more stuff. We've talked about, just in the last episode, I think we were talking about podcasting and how it's more and more available in your car. Our cars are becoming smarter, and so we can access a lot more things, and and maps and all this kind of stuff. Hands-free, digital or cell phone calls. There's also the smart home. So I think I see the music being an integral part of our culture, and everybody's lives are going to be built in more and more into our cars and into our homes too. Not just in buying a stereo system, but it's probably going to be part of the technology of homes as they're built from here on out.
We're really getting futuristic here, man.
That's right. This will turn into the Jetsons. As you're going down the conveyor belt in the morning in your home, going to your spaceship, you're going to be hearing your favorite. It'll just actually read your brain waves and start playing the music that you think about. It
I
could be
like that. That's
it could
cool.
be scary. Let me think of, and then wearables is another thing. Google Glasses was a thing that still, has been out this past year. So like wearable technology. Oh, the Apple Watch, that was announced.
The
And so I don't know if there's going to be the Apple Watch may have, I guess it has music capabilities. I'm not sure because I don't have one.
Well, there's the Samsung already has one that works with their Galaxy tabs and stuff too.
Oh, cool. So I assume, yeah, that music will be incorporated into these wearable technologies, and so yet another way that people will be consuming and have easy access to music and other forms of entertainment. And then one other. So I was reading Mashable.com is a site that covers technology of all kinds, very highly rated site. And I was just looking. They had a piece on marketing predictions for the coming year. And one of them is how companies will be catering more and more to individual preferences. Like instead of just like reaching out to demographics or serving a demographic, they actually, I guess that's like customizing their offerings to people, not only from a marketing perspective, but from the products and services that they offer. And I immediately thought of this. We've talked about this before, how this applies to musicians, is that since maybe some of the traditional ways of making money are sort of drying up for a lot of artists, although I still think that people who with rabid fan bases can still make money from album and CD sales for the time being, and download sales. The trick is to create experiences and things for your fans that cannot just be digitally duplicated. For people that have a little more disposable income, how can you create a unique experience for them? We've talked about all sorts of things over these issues, from the live concert, where you get your personal requests and, interact live with the audience. But one thing that came up to me especially when I was reading about these individual preferences was Shannon Curtis was the gal I've mentioned a couple times. I interviewed her. Met her in person. She does the house concert tours, where her and her husband travel and do like 60 nothing but house concerts for her fans. She doesn't do any traditional or very few traditional venues. But something that she does on the side that she mentions during her house concerts is she will write songs for people at like 3 different price points. So she'll maybe send somebody like a survey, it's a list of questions by email, or she'll have a conversation with them and take notes about what they want the song written about, what's the occasion, what's the person, give me some details about them. And she writes an original song for them. And she's gotten to the point where she gets their permission, and she's actually releasing now entire albums with these. I forgot, she has a name for them that escapes me now, but she has like entire albums now with these songs that she has written for her fans, and they paid her to do each one of them, as a special treat for a wedding, a birthday, holiday present, and that's a really great example of a higher dollar thing that you're personalizing your talent for a specific fan.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because the bottom line is you could take a song and you can take, now that things are digital, you could take a song or even a video for that matter, and just about anybody with a decent piece of technology can make a copy of it, distribute it any way they want to, But if you can do things that are either customizable or once in a lifetime type events, things or certain type of merchandise that you can't reproduce. Like, for instance, vinyl records is a really good example. You can reproduce the music on a vinyl record, but the vinyl record is an experience like no other. I mean, to be brutally honest with you, I'm so happy they're back, because I miss holding an album in my hand and looking at the album artwork and actually being able to read the liner notes and look at, flip through the pages if they opened up and things like that, So creating something that's unique live. And you want to know what I think? It's really funny. A lot of my predictions are almost like throwbacks, because here I am talking about vinyl, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I think is probably going to be one of the biggest trends in 2015 and beyond is going out and playing live shows and doing word of mouth marketing. To be brutally honest, I think, boy, I'm being brutally honest. That's my catchphrase for today. Brutal is, I believe in doing less internet web oriented marketing, and actually get out there and shake more hands, talk to more people, make more phone calls, because that's not, and maybe even send some mail, because that's not what the masses are doing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes if everybody's turning right, maybe what you need to do is turn left. Isn't that, we talked about that book last